You know exactly what this room is for. You know the exact sounds that belong here, the squeak of sneakers, the whistle, the echoing voices. But right now, none of that is happening. Objectively, there is no threat. The lights are on, the doors are locked, and you are completely safe. Yet standing here, your nervous system is sending you a very different message. The quiet in this space doesn't register as peace. It feels like a held breath. The room itself seems to be waiting for a noise that already happened or hasn't happened yet. When the hair on your arm stands up in an empty hallway, you aren't reacting to a predator. You are reacting to a very specific, glaring absence. For a long time, the English language had no word for this exact sensation. In 2009, a writer named John Koenig noticed this gap and started building a dictionary to document feelings we all share but rarely name. To capture the eerie atmosphere of a place usually full of people, but now completely quiet, he combined two ancient Greek words, kenosis, meaning emptiness, and opsia, meaning seeing. Kenopsia. It describes an emotional afterimage. The people who are supposed to be here have left the building, but their absence is so conspicuous that they almost glow like neon signs. That means the absence itself has a shape. To a human observer, an empty room is never actually neutral. Your brain isn't malfunctioning when it reads a quiet office on a Sunday as creepy. It is successfully running a pattern-matching algorithm. Throughout our evolutionary history, the human nervous system relied on continuous social cues to verify that an environment was secure. Other people making normal noises meant everything was fine. Remove those people, and you remove the safety data. Psychologists call the resulting unease autophobia, a heightened state of alertness triggered purely by the lack of human presence. A populated space generates a smooth baseline of psychological comfort. Take social cues away, and the brain spikes into a jagged threat alert. This state maps on to the uncanny valley of architecture. When a highly familiar space lacks normal activity, comfort plummets into the negative. Kenopsia is simply an ancient biological survival mechanism misfiring. Your biology is trying to keep you alive in a modern building that happens to be closed for the weekend. The philosopher Mark Fisher described this exact clash as a failure of presence. It happens when you encounter a space completely outside its intended context, trapped in a temporary limbo between active use and total abandonment. You don't feel that same eerie tension in ancient ruins. A crumbling stone structure overtaken by vines doesn't set off your internal alarm bells. A ruin has finished its life cycle. It has completely lost its original function. A dark school hallway still works perfectly. It is temporarily missing the children and teachers who give it meaning. Environmental psychologists refer to this alignment as place coherence. Your mind expects a specific physical environment to act and sound a specific way based on memory. The dread you feel doesn't seep out of the drywall or the floorboards. It is generated by the violent cognitive clash between the room standing right in front of you and the room preserved in your memory. At this point, the physical walls of the room matter less than your internal mapping of the space. We form intense emotional and cognitive bonds with specific environments. Researchers call this place attachment, a connection built out of daily routines, relationships, and the meaning we assign to a location over time. This diagram shows how those bonds accumulate. A physical room, represented by the square, is repeatedly filled with actions, conversations, and memories. Eventually, those overlapping human experiences completely obscure the physical boundaries. The room and the activity become inseparable. Take the noise and the people away, and the room is still standing. But your brain refuses to read it as an empty void. It reads it as a glaring error, an active state of missing parts. That deep spatial unease is grief's smaller, stranger cousin. It is a very specific, nameless sorrow for a loss that hasn't actually happened. Feeling a sudden weight in your chest while standing in a deserted mall isn't a psychological flaw. It is concrete proof of your capacity to bind your memories to the architecture around you. Kenopsia strikes because your evolutionary threat detection system is forced to process an environment that is simultaneously safe, so deeply familiar, and completely silent. Your brain simply didn't evolve to expect those three things at the same time. So the next time you find yourself alone in an environment built for crowds, you don't have to view the space as haunted or abandoned. It is merely holding its breath between active uses. If a room ever feels like it is actively missing people, it is only because you were the one who taught it how to feel occupied in the first place.